A claps. Hey my loves, it's me Keisha and I'm here with this week's All Tea All Shade Ready to Love Season 7 Episode 4 review. I drop videos Monday through Sunday. Everything that I say is for entertainment purposes only and not to be taken seriously. So if that works for you, then let's get into this review. So we begin with it being a ladies elimination week, meaning the guys can send home a woman this week, and the guys meet up with Tommy and they do a little fishing, and Tommy lets the guys know that he's going to throw them a yacht party. And of course the guys are super excited. You know, it's Miami, you got to get out on the water and catch a vibe. Jeffrey and Marc Anthony go out on a date, and I must say Marc Anthony is really handsome. In the cast photos, he did not give off what he's giving off on actual camera, but he's a nice looking man. So they go out on a date, and she of course brings up the fact that she has children, which is a really important situation. You're trying to find actual love and a husband, so these are important conversations that she does need to have, but it's kind of getting on my nerves a little bit that that's like her go-to conversation. But she asks him how he feels about, you know, dating a woman with kids, and he was like, you know, he comes from a blended family, so it really doesn't bother him. However, there was a little stutteration and hesitation on his part that I did notice, but he does seem like he's genuine in what he's saying. So they are building a connection with one another. Blue and Marcia head out on a date with one another, and she gets to talking about all the stuff that she don't like, including the outdoors. She doesn't like animals. She doesn't like being like out in the wilderness, not even in a cabin. And she's afraid of animals. And he laughed and had a really good time with her. And he said that she was really fun, but all of her do's and don'ts was kind of like a turn off and a red flag for him. So he's pretty much put her in the friend zone. And she did kind of come across as a little negative. It's like, you can't give things a try, sis. And it really wasn't helping any either that she had them gel down baby hairs. That was really offending me and bothering me. It's the day of the yacht party, and Tommy lets the singles know that Andre, the guy with the Tyler Perry microphone in the top of his head, that little tendril in his forehead, has COVID and has decided to take himself out of, you know, the competition, the show, or whatever. So some of the ladies were disappointed because they were starting to build connections with him, i.e. Cynthia, who we then see have a one-on-one with Anthony, who is another attractive guy. I like his swag. I like his style, his personality. They connect and they vibe on, you know, the fact that they both have children and their stance on parenting and relationships. So there's something brewing there between those two. Gerald from Hey Arnold, aka Blake, sits down with Sue-Ann, and he thanks her for having his back and being there for him and being straight up with him, and gives her a bracelet. And she was all excited, like, oh my God, thank you and everything. And he was like, he was taking everything that she told him to heart and to consideration. And, you know, he's really good to put bigger foot forward as far as, you know, opening himself up to the process. It's something about him that just reads very generic and very fake to me. I'm not vibing with him and his SpongeBob SquarePeg head ass. Morgan and Tony sit down and talk, and, you know, they are really vibing with one another. You can tell that they are extremely attracted to one another. She is a beautiful woman, beautiful. I think that she is the prettiest woman there this season. She is stunning. But she is unsure about Tony because she says that he doesn't pay her enough attention. He doesn't take the initiative to talk to her, and that he basically wants everyone, and he denies it. You know, he doing all that little smooth talking that he always does or whatever, talking all low. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You know, ain't even nothing like that. I mean, calm down, like Jill. And it's like, dude, speak up, shit, something in your throat. So Tony, his confession was like, you know, sometimes I wish she had more confidence, because I guess it's starting to come across like nagging almost, like she's finding fault in things that he does. But my thing is, if that's how you're feeling already, like he isn't really putting in the time and the effort, then that's everything that you need to know. You're not his number one. He's still having doubts. He's still playing the field, and you need to do the same thing at this point, pretty much. So we then see everybody play this game that Tommy wanted them to play. And one of the questions was, who is the best looking guy there? And Morgan answers Lyndon, which throws Tony all the way off because he thought that he just had it in the bag with her. And I like that sister girl switched it up on him and put him on his toes. Like, you ain't the only one here that I'm checking for. And obviously it worked based off what we're going to see on next week's episode. Jeffrey pulls a paper and it says that she has to kiss the person there that she has the strongest connection with. And she chooses Marc Anthony, which surprises Demario because he thought that they were building something. He really liked her, but he says now that he was instantly turned off because it lacked self-control. And I'm like, dude, your ego was just bruised. Like, she don't owe you anything. Y'all went on one date from what we've seen thus far. Y'all probably talked on the phone, but that's who she had the strongest connection with. That's who she had the strongest connection with. Ain't no need to be mad and judging her. That means you need to step your game up, period. But instead of making his intentions clearer, we see him sitting down, having a conversation with Curva. He says that he really likes her. She likes him too, but she needs to see if they have a real connection there, because at this point, you know, it's kind of like not surface, but she doesn't really know him that well to say, you know, okay, this is real. And it's a good thing that she feels that way because we, the audience, know that he's butthurt over Jeffrey kissing Marc Anthony. So, yeah, you need to fish around and find out what's really going on with this dude. So Gerald, aka Blake, then decides to pull Jeffrey to the side to question her about what Sue-Ann told him on their date. So immediately I noticed that sis was on guard and had an attitude. Like, she was already had her face screwed up. Like, what's the tea? Like, what's going on? Like, so they sit down and Blake was like, you know, I heard some things that were said that were a little disturbing and I was hurt. And Jeffrey was like, okay, explain. Like, she already was on 10, ready. So he was like, you know, I don't want to get into the feedback. And she was like, so how am I going to answer or your question? Like, you're not making sense. And Blake was like, do you know what was said? And she was like, I need to know exactly what you're referencing. So Blake says, I would prefer not to get into it. What? What? So Jeffrey was like, why are you talking to me right now then? And he was like, good question. I probably shouldn't. We'll agree just to leave it alone. What was that? Like, did he have a stroke in the middle of this conversation? What really happened? Like, nothing was accomplished. You never said what was said to you because obviously you must have had said it, that you didn't confront her all the way on it. And then you was acting like a punk. Like, what was going on there? Like, he is a weirdo. Like, run for your lives, ladies. Like, it's something wrong with him. That was the strangest conversation I think I've ever seen on reality television ever. Like, she straight up punked him. And it was like, what are you doing right about now? So to me, it made me further believe that everything that Jeffrey said to the ladies in the ladies lounge was 100% true. And I honestly think that the only reason why he pulled her to the side is so it could seem like he confronted her and checked her, you know, visually, optically, but really nothing was said and nothing was accomplished. But at least from the outside looking in, it looked like he went over there and checked her, and he can make it seem like Sue-Ann, like, I handled that, I confronted her, I said whatever, but in all actuality, he didn't. And by the time she sees it, it's gonna be months later, and he been and wrangled her in. Jonique and Tony sit down and have a conversation, and she reveals to him that she wants something real, and it's been a while since she's been in a relationship, and she gets emotional and starts to cry. And, you know, he soothes her, and, you know, after she, you know, pulls herself together, he was like, you know, you making me feel all mushy inside. What you doing to me, girl? And I'm like, it made her like you that she cried and revealed like some hurt and trauma. Like, it was giving me, oh my God, I found a weak spot and I can play on that. Like, it was just something predatory about that moment for me. Cause it was just like, huh? Like what? I really like Jonique too. I really want her to have a great experience. I really like her. But Tony ain't the one. He is not the one, child. No. It was coming across like he can prey on her. You know what I'm saying? And use her wanting a relationship to his advantage. And it's just something about him that I just don't really like. Like I said it in my cast video, he gives me player vibes. Like he think that he is the shit. And like I need for him to have several seats. Run, Jonique, run. Jeffrey then goes outside on the yacht and sits down and has a conversation with Demario and Sue-Ann. And she tells them about, what just happened between her and Blake. And Sue-Ann was like, are you sure you're interpreting what he said correctly? Because when I relayed to him the feedback, he said he never said he chose you. And it's like, girl, calm down, Sue Ellen. Like, girl, please have several. Like, why are you caping for this man? Like, you don't even know him. Like, you don't have any dog in this fight. Like, I'm not really understanding why you're being so accusatory to her. It's giving pick me vibes. Like, sit down, Sue Ellen. And I know her name's Sue Ann, but she's giving me Sue Ellen vibes. So Jeffrey was like, I mean, you seem to have more of an explanation than Blake. And I'm like, exactly, period. So Jeffrey in her confession was like, all of a sudden now she caping for this dude. Like, what's going on? Sue-Ann in her confession was like, some of us are ready to love, and I feel like Jeffrey is ready to lie. Well, it seems to me like you're getting played, fool. This man gave you a little Pandora bracelet and you have lost your mind. It's obvious ain't nobody ever bought you nothing. Like, calm down, girl. So they going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Demario just kind of sitting there like, he know what to do with himself. So the guys then sit down and talk to Tommy. And Blake says that he's really feeling Sue-Ann. Of course he is. Demario says that he's feeling Curva because, Jeffrey kissed the old boy. So now he in his feet about it. Tony likes Marcia and Jonique. And he did not pick Morgan, which says a lot. Blue says that he likes Jonique too. So Jonique has become a hot commodity now amongst the guys. Marc Anthony and Demario argue over whether or not they should use the lifeline. Because in the bottom was Marcia, Curva, and Jeffrey. Demario wants to use it now because obviously some of the guys were not feeling some of those ladies and, he's interested in one. But Marc Anthony was like, we need to save it for later. Ain't nobody even really deep in their feelings yet. I certainly agreed with Marc Anthony. I do think they need to wait a little while. But then again, some of the guys was like, what's the point of waiting? We already know. And at the end of the episode, Marcia, Curva, and Jeffrey are all in the bottom. Tony is the representative for the guys, and he lets all the ladies know what the guys said about them. So to Marcia, he says the guys feel like you give off a good friend vibe. Jeffrey, the guys feel like you have a shell covering you. And Curva, you tend to think before you speak and need to tone it down some. And she was looking like, who you talking to? I don't know what the guys are seeing about Curva that is really annoying them. I don't know if she comes across very superficial and it's something that we're not being shown, because it seems to me like she's a level-headed girl. Maybe it's the way that she looks and carries herself. I don't know. Maybe it's because she don't come across like a dingbat and like you can just run all over me. But I'm not really understanding what the guys are finding so wrong about Curva. I don't really get it. But that's where the episode ended up ending. We'll find out next week who gets sent home. I personally think that out of those three ladies, maybe Marcia need to go home because I don't never like her or her outfits. But that ain't got nothing to do with her on the show. I don't know. I'm not really. Nobody's really like getting on my nerves except for Sue Ellen. Cause she, like I said, is giving me pick me vibes. But, and Tony can go cause he's just giving me player from the Himalayas. And I really don't like Blake at all. But that's my review. Overall, I'll give tonight's episode of Ready to Love a C plus. It was cute. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.